Right, it's recording.
Right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special meeting of the Board of Education. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Evacuation procedure for fire emergency. There's plenty of doors right to each exit. Hopefully we won't need those. Roll call of trustees. All my fellow board members are present. Mr. Season is present via owl. He'll be joining us in the near future. Okay, so we called this special meeting together for the primary purpose of discussing our board goals. We had our board retreat this summer, and which was the beginning of the strategic, our whole strategic planning process. And before we can move on with all the great things that we'll be doing as a district together, we need to make sure that our board goals and our mission are exactly how we want them in print. So everyone should have a copy of what we discussed at our retreat in August, and Mr. Snyder from NISBA, who was our trainer at this event, put together a very nice summary for us. And so I thought we'd just go through this, and if anyone has any comments on the vision statement, the mission statement, and the goal statements for editing, etc., we can speak now and make revisions with the hope that we can get this into a resolution as soon as possible for a future board meeting to be voted on, so that the strategic planning task force can start again and do its work. Okay? Sound good? Okay. So the vision statement: the Voorheesville Central School District is a community of learning in which everyone is engaged and supported to participate at their highest potential. Now, two sentences, but we spent hours talking about all of these, so I think Mr. Snyder did a good job paraphrasing what we were doing. So any discussion on the vision statement?
So I'm trying to think back to the retreat, because we had a bunch of different versions up on the board, and there were pieces of that we had in the vision statement that didn't quite make it into here. I'm not unhappy with this version, and I think it does capture everything that we talked about. I just want to make sure we're not leaving anything out that we had covered in the retreat.
Okay.
And I didn't bring my notes, so that was.
And again, we're not putting this into a resolution tonight. I mean, if that's something that you'd like to go back and double check, RD?
Yeah, I'll open it up to others too, in case anybody has recollections. Like I said, I'm not unhappy with this, and I do think it captures everything that we talked about.
I know, I want to check my notes and I brought the wrong column.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other?
But otherwise, it does feel representative of our general conversation.
Okay.
Can I add a comment?
Yes, please.
I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember the long conversations based off of the surveys that were had and all, and the community survey and all the information that was there. I do remember the conversation being that the vision statement is supposed to be a one-line or a two-liner. It's supposed to be something that you can add to, like, things to say, here is our overall arching idea of what we are, and based off of everything else. And then the mission and goals are the ones that kind of dig deeper. And I do know that I thought we added things from the vision statement to the mission statement. But I wasn't sure if those things match. But I do remember the conversation regarding the vision statement. I don't have my notes either.
I know.
But I know exactly what you're talking about. But again, I just want to say, vision was supposed to be short. that was kind of the aspect. I think you might have been shortened a little bit.
So maybe we should go through all of these and then decide if there's anything lacking or that we wanna revisit in case people didn't have a chance, with their notes. So the mission statement, the mission of the Voorheesville Central School District is to provide all students a strong foundation of knowledge and experience in a safe and supportive environment to prepare them for productive members of the global society and to value lifelong learning.
I like it.
I'm good with that one.
Yeah,
Good with that? You good with that?
it took so much to get there, but
It took a lot to get there, yes. Okay. Then goal statement, now these are our goal statements. Student achievement. The Voorheesville Central School District will provide opportunities to support the achievement of all students as they increase their capacity for learning and progress towards excellence.
That doesn't say much for me. I mean, I understand we're trying to be broad in our statements. That's vague. And not a bad thing, but it doesn't, I won't know if we've reached that goal.
well, my understanding was that Frank and the rest of the administration was going to put together specific goals within that vision type of a guideline and would be bringing those to us, and we would be able to see that those are directly pointing us towards that gigantic, blurry, shiny goal, and we could move in that general area. And if we don't see those goals going that way, we would talk to Frank and say, that's not exactly what we were meaning. We were meaning Y, not X.
This particular one looks to me like to be a definition of a school district. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
And I've always liked the goals, or I've said this before, kind of that progressive step. Here's where we are, here's where we'd like to be, here's things we would like to, focus on. This doesn't give me any focus, that's all I'm saying. I can live with it, but I don't know how you measure anything like this.
I'm curious about Frank's.
Yeah,
insight.
go ahead, so, or,
You want to speak first? Or?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it depends, how we frame this, I think depends on whether this is a goal for a period of time, right? Is this our goal for the next year, 3 to 5 years, right? Or is this the goal that we will always have and don't intend to modify?
Yeah, this is a statement of purpose.
So I know that we're working with CASA as well to work with us, and also the strategic planning committee, which is staff. There's a couple parents, students. You're going to be on it. Cindy's going to be on it. Rachel's going to be on it. I wasn't sure who. So those people are going to help do this. It's the big goal statement is the overarching concept of what the board wants the district to focus in on. Then we develop SMART goals and action-oriented level plans to meet that need. So what does all student needs? And then we define all students. How do those opportunities create? And then you're looking at it as a K-12 kind of idea. So you're going to, underneath this, I'm going to imagine we're probably going to have 5 or 6 action goals that will be SMART and leveled for us, strategic, measurable. So I believe that's where we're going to really get into the nitty-gritty of what all means and develop it. This, I think, just gives you the overall scope of where that is.
It defines a category.
Yes.
defines the category.
That's how I read it too.
Yeah.
It's the category, then each, whatever the interval is, annually, semester based, right?
Yeah.
That's when you're gonna establish your goals. for
Exactly.
the district
And then you're
to
looking at,
implement this.
are you looking at your AP students and how we're going to increase our AP scores? Are we looking at our kindergarten reading levels? Are we looking at our special education students? Are we looking at our economically disadvantaged? Are we looking at our middle of the roads? Like all of those things together, then we really take those, pick them apart, and then create action plans to make sure that we're accounting for all those students.
If we change the word provide to enhance, that would then say to you and your team, okay, give us examples of how you're going to enhance instructional program and increase student achievement. By saying provide, You do that now, you always have done that. It is a statement of purpose of a school district. You add the word enhance, it says we're going to improve upon what we have. That's all, what I would recommend.
I do see that.
I kind of like provide because I think also the opportunities might, that enhance means opportunities that are already existing. And I'd like to see the school look at what are we missing? What are we not doing? So I would want to keep it as open as possible. Opportunities could be existing and enhanced or not yet existing, not yet even discovered.
To
So
me, that's
I
what
want to keep the
enhancement
doors,
is.
well,
It's growing on what you have and it's adding new if necessary. That's what enhancement is.
enhance usually refers to something that's already existing.
Listen, I'm not gonna argue with it. If you guys want to provide, I can live with provide, says the same thing. But this is not measurable.
So I'm good with either one. But I think the key piece of the goal statements is making sure that there's reporting back to the board on what those SMART goals are and then how they're being met. And I think currently the format for that is the principal's reports to you.
We're gonna
which they
change
share
those.
with us,
Well,
but those are really high level
Right.
and not specific enough for me, at
So
least.
that is not going to be the goal of those. Those are to tell you what's going on in the building. That's not going to tell you how we're actually meeting this action plan. We're going to have quarterly reports built in or half-year reports where we then share that information with the board, or end of the year evaluation of where we are with those things. Like, as CASA comes in and helps us do this, we're going to finalize and formalize the way we report back and the way that we account for ourselves, because we have to make sure that we're doing it as well, right? So it's not the principals giving you the report. That team has to come back together and say, are we meeting these goals? Where are we? We have to assess them. So we have to have that way of reporting to me and then reporting to you, how that works. So it's a very leveled approach, which wasn't what has been with those reports there. That's not what the goal of that is. So we are going to be changing it. That's why this is a year-long process to really get this to where it needs to be.
So my recollection of those monthly reports though is that they have the goals.
We're changing it.
That's
alright,
how it
okay.
used to. You're
That's going to be changed.
Okay, all right, I'm good.
Any other-
I'm good with, I think it provides a framework that Frank and his team needs to create measurable goals underneath of it.
And
whether
so,
it's
and
provider or
with the topic being student achievement.
Right.
Any other comments? Okay. Staffing is the next broad category. Again, the process would be the same, but the states of Voorheesville Central School District will support the recruitment, training, and retention of a highly qualified and diverse staff. That looks good to me.
Yeah.
That's a good goal, right? Rachel?
I think so, yeah.
Tim? Look good? Good. Financial responsibility, the Voorheesville Central School District will be faithful steward of the community's financial commitment to the children and will be responsible in managing all resources.
I'll have a financial commitment to the children.
I was thinking the same thing, the children almost doesn't
Children don't. pay
fit in there.
taxes.
For the students,
Yeah, but I mean, I think what we were talking about, is that we're
To
looking,
education, the public education. That of the children.
will be responsible in managing all
the
resources.
community's financial resources or something, and then we're responsible in managing all resources towards the education of our students, of our student body.
If you're uneasy about the children, if you just said it's financial commitment to public education and will be responsible for managing all resources, that kind of probably a little more institutional sounding, but it's appropriate.
Right. Does that work better for you, Archie?
Yeah,
Okay, so children, public education.
Actually makes more sense.
and it makes more
It
sense.
really, like, I'm walking it through in my head what that means. It makes more sense.
Tricia, is that good?
Agreed, yes, sorry.
Okay, communication, Voorheesville Central School District will foster trust and engagement through open two-way communication, outreach, and responsiveness to all internal and external stakeholders.
Okay.
So this really references not just students, but all stakeholders in the district, which,
It's not just parents either, it's
but that's what I'm saying.
retirees, it's business owners, it's everyone within our community.
It's everyone within our community, and we wanted that, we were very specific. Safe and supportive learning environment, Voorheesville Central School District will provide a safe and supportive learning environment that is inclusive, nurturing, and responsive to the social, emotional, and mental health needs of all students and staff.
Like it.
I get too.
Can I just say one negative thing about it?
Please
I'm
do.
sorry.
No, now sit
And
down.
I know that it's in here, because I know we have major conversations regarding it, but it doesn't to me, it just doesn't capture facilities, right? Because I know it's safe, nurturing environment is also the culture aspect of what we do and the curriculum that's in here, but also our facilities have to be safe, they have to be nurturing, they have to be appropriate. And I just don't know if that, like, is really seen in this statement.
Like learning and
I
physical.
actually
Yeah.
remember having this same conversation at the retreat, and I thought we had added a line, but maybe it got missed.
It could be physical and emotional, or physical and psychological or something. So it could be a supportive learning, physical and emotional environment.
Yeah, I think you're right, Rob, but we did add a line. So did you have a suggestion and?
I don't have a suggestion, I was just sharing my
Words?
viewpoint. No, that's up to you as the board.
Yeah.
I just was thinking that somewhere we have to just have that regarding our facilities as well. You know, facilities has to be at least denoted in there that it's a priority in the district.
Did
You know,
you,
upkeep of it is,
Tricia, did you have like a suggestion?
No, I agree with Frank that we're missing actual physical support.
Right,
We're talking a lot more about the student themselves,
yeah,
mentally and emotionally, but it is very critical that we keep our facilities secure.
well, not even just, I'm not thinking just safe and secure, I'm thinking appropriate for the class sizes that we have, you know,
Right.
making sure we maintain our taxpayer investment into our district, you know, and not have deferred maintenance, so like all those things as well.
If you were to have like social and emotional, comma, mental health, comma, physical and educational needs, I don't know if that covers a whole lot.
As long as the board understands and there's a clear understanding of what that is.
Well, it's a place where you could park your facility
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly.
Or what if the word environment was replaced with the word space or place? Making it a more physical word than just this.
I kind of like the idea of having it like a physical, like the word in there that, I think space is great, but I don't know,
Okay.
as long as we have something that really anchors it to that facilities. Because other people have to read it and understand
Right.
that it's for facilities as well.
Well, I like Tim, I mean, I could go either with learning and physical environment, or Tim's tweak, social, emotional, mental health, physical and educational needs of all students. Either one, I think, works, or maybe both, where we do learning and physical, and then social, emotional, mental health, and education. Then I think we've got it all in there.
Yeah, I think safe and supportive learning environment, I think probably captures it. If you really want to be specific,
Learning and physical.
I think then you add the educational and physical needs as part of that string.
does everybody agree with that?
I don't know what physical needs means, so,
Well, it's alongside lines of facility, class size, safe, clean, appropriate. I don't know. To me, it just means you come to a place where you feel as that this is an excellent educational facility.
I do kind of know what Rachel's saying, though, like someone can read physical needs as like physically fit,
or there's a
like we have a good cardiovascular program.
Well, but that's part of it. You have athletic fields
No, I know.
and gymnasiums
I was
and,
talking about the actual physical, tangible property.
Yeah, I was looking
Physical plans.
at- I was thinking
Yeah.
in my head that
Yeah, maybe that's.
So how would that, let's see.
How about a safe and supportive learning environment and facilities that are inclusive, nurturing, responsive to social emotional?
it makes sense to me.
that works.
And facility, that,
Just
that
adding
works.
after environment, adding.
We don't have to be fancy with the word.
Yeah.
And facility, that
Everyone
works.
will know what that means.
And then you've
Yeah.
got the word facilities in there.
Thank you.
There
It
you
just,
go.
I'm sorry, it just was something that
No,
was,
I totally.
as I
get
was reading it, like, and I'm thinking about the district strategic planning.
So it would be,
So,
will provide a safe and supportive learning environment and facilities that are inclusive, nurturing, and responsive to the social, emotional, and mental needs of all students and staff.
yes.
That sounds good.
That sounds good, right? Yay.
Good.
Okay, so. Okay, so right now, I think most of it is good. We have the vision statement. Now that we went through all of that, what are you thinking, Tim? About vision statement? The way it is, or,
I'm okay with the vision statement. This implies we're looking this to be a community effort.
Yeah.
For the community. And we want as many people engaged and supportive as possible. We want them to participate. We want everybody to reach their highest potential. I mean, those are all the buzzwords you'd want. I mean, that's the vision of what you want a community school to be all about, right?
Right.
So I'm okay with it.
okay. RG, now that we went
I
through,
don't, like I said, I don't dislike this, I do wanna just take a quick look at my notes, and, if I don't have any problem with it, I'll respond by email.
okay, so let's work it that way, right?
Yeah.
I like that it's one line.
You like that it's one line? Rachel?
Yeah, I also want to check my
Your
notes
notes.
before I say like, yep, good to go. 'Cause
Okay.
I remember scribbling a lot down.
So if you look at your notes, or if you
Either
look
way,
at your
I'll-
notes and you're good to
Yeah.
go, if you can just shoot a quick email,
Yeah, either
and
way.
we'll hold off on, going any further with this. Hey, Rob? Rob? Al?
Yeah, no, I'm here. It took a second to get off mute. What's up?
So the vision statement, are you good with that?
Yeah. Yep.
Jim?
Good. Can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
Not on the vision statement, but October 4th is our next board meeting. Can we put it on, and then if there's changes in discussion to be made, we just make the amendment and change at the board meeting, just because
Yeah,
I really would like to get it
Well,
approved so we can
definitely,
move forward.
but
Okay.
my point is, if RG knows ahead of time,
Right.
no,
But
or if there's something, then we can, yeah,
We can put it
same
forward.
thing with Rachel.
Yeah,
Either
I'm fine
tomorrow.
with putting it forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then we can
anytime.
tweak it if need be. Because
Yeah.
I already have a
Next Monday.
strategic date that I want to start.
Yeah, I don't want to
What?
delay your plans.
Awesome.
All right, perfect. And we were all good on the mission statement. Rob?
Yep.
Then goal 1, student achievement, the only thing I think we were stuck on using enhance or provide. I think that was the only thing, right? Correct? Me if I'm wrong?
Correct.
And so, do we want to stay with provide or change to enhance? Or keep it the way it is or change it?
Let's be a little aspirational in these goals.
Okay, that's what we're doing, that's the purpose of what we're doing, so.
I'm good with enhance.
You good with enhance? Rob, you good with enhance, changing page?
Sure.
I would say provide enhanced opportunities, but I feel like enhanced refers to existing opportunities and wouldn't necessarily be read as additional or potentially new ones.
So you're suggesting
You could
provide,
say provide enhanced opportunities. So, I don't know, that's just me. Tim's shaking his head.
No, I'm fine.
is that all right,
I don't care, yes, that's fine.
Arby?
I can live with that.
Can you live with that, Rob? Provide enhance?
Sure.
Here?
I'm more interested in what's built under it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Well, and again, remember, just like Frank said, that SMART goals
Yep.
with administration, that we'll have, that's where it gets into the real meat. and
Right.
As
potatoes.
Mr. said, this is your wheelhouse, then it goes into the, to the educational world, and then we share those back and have that continuity going back and forth, making sure that that goal and vision is aligned with what the district is doing.
Yep.
And it just makes complete sense to go that way. Because we want to have it be measured and attainable and, scaffold year after year after year for the life of the strategic plan. Because the goal, I think, is this doesn't sit on the shelf. This becomes an active living plan.
That's our goal,
Yeah,
yes, that's,
I am pleading again, that whatever specific objectives you come up with, they show movement. That's all I'm asking. I've seen too many of these things that are just a statement of purpose. They look great on a brochure, but they don't show anything that actually moves progress. And that's what I would think these objectives need to do, is show this is the category this falls under, and this is something where we started here and we've arrived here, and there's been growth in between. And that's what you want in these sort of things.
right. And I think, just by the nature of our retreat and doing it so professionally this year, Tim, speaks a lot to that volume, that this is what the plan of the board is to make this very measurable and done correctly. Okay, so staffing, I think we were all good with, Rob.
Yep.
And then financial responsibility, we were just going to change to public education instead of children,
Yeah, that's a good.
yes?
Yes. Yep.
Good, Rob?
I'm good.
Everybody like communications without any change? Rob?
Sure.
And then safe and supportive learning environment, we were gonna add, facilities to the wording to cover facilities, right?
Correct.
Good, Rob?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So, again, this is one piece of paper for a full day of a lot of real, really great insight, and I'm looking forward to the strategic plan of our district, and I thank everybody again for that really productive day that we spent together. So even though it's like a line, it's like how many flip charts to get to those lines, right? So, okay, so this is exciting. We can now move on. We will, for next Monday, have this set as to be able to vote on. And that will really make a huge movement. And again, Archie, Rachel, if you have any further, please, let me know, and
Can
we'll
I say
take it
one
from
more
there.
thing on this, Cindy? I also think once we vote on these and they're live, we need a communication plan for how we're going to put these out to the district and to the students.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that with the
Okay.
district steering committee.
Okay.
To make sure that we have that in our communications, because people need to understand it. I just wanna make sure that we have an understanding of what this all means as the committee, as we start to communicate that, because I don't wanna get the cart before the horse a little bit. But absolutely sharing out what this is and saying, what they are and our mission statement, vision statement, how they maybe jive completely with what it was earlier. But I think that's important also, is that, people need to understand that you haven't thrown away whatever was there prior. You know, a lot of this is actually, we took wording from it. There was a lot of words in some of these, and it just condensed it down. So I think as we communicate that, it's not about this is all new. Some of this has already been there. The mission statement's already been there. We just condensed it to make it more succinct. Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Absolutely.
And now you get to pull it
Now you
all
get to play.
together.
Yeah.
Now you get to play, Mr.
Yeah,
McCree. Okay, so again, thank you, everyone. Okay, and so to flow with this, I did move, a discussion on student representation to the board, on Board of Education, to kind of fit with the flow of our discussion, and I think it's probably long overdue that we discussed. So we do have representation on the strategic plan task force of students. We have student government, we had the great community alliance, that COVID kind of split apart now, but we had a lot of student, representation on that. However, we haven't looked at, student representation on the Board of Education. And so Tim was kind enough to, research a lot of this for me. Frank, talked to other school districts about their experience with students on the Board of Education. And so, later, we're sent, NISBA a sample policy, which I actually got a chance to go through real quick by Tim, that people probably haven't had a chance to go through yet. This is not like, let's make a decision tonight. It's like, let's start the conversation to see what it is we even do. And it actually ends up being that, you know, our discussion, it would be to actually put this out to voters to see if they would vote on this, if this is something we recommend. And I did look through like some of these notes, and they recommend on an even year. So if we do this, like 2022 is actually a recommended year that you do it, because it's a 2-year thing. So I think I'll start with, again, saying this is just the beginning of a discussion to see if this is something we want to move forward with, and give everybody time to actually go through the information that Tim sent ahead of time. But maybe, Tim, you would like to summarize some of what you did, and again, thank you, and then Frank, maybe share some of the information you've gotten by other districts who have student representation.
Could you remind us how this was initiated? We
Yeah,
got a letter from somebody.
We've gotten emails from community members, and I think in the past it's been brought up also, but more vaguely. So we, you know, but recently we did have a community member who suggested, actually during COVID, which that was, you know, COVID, but now with our strategic planning and all the changes we're making, you know, it's a good time to like discuss that. So it really did come from community.
Well, the person who wrote these letters was an attorney who works for a legislator. And I'm trying to, is that a person who lives in our community?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Not a legislator.
It doesn't work for a legislator.
he works
Oh.
for me.
Works for who?
Nice. And the reason being, I will say, we had a conversation, and I asked the person exactly, you know, what is the interest and why are you saying this? And it has to deal with civic duty, right? And having us being able to foster that within our students. And, you know, that was the opportunity that to provide political government and students working within political government and give them a backbone and foundation for future years. It's just a component of the educational program. And that was the reason why that person actually asked and stated it. I summarized, but that was kind of the overall point.
I just was having a tough time figuring out where that actually came from. Thank you for that. So I reached out to NISBA and I asked them, is this something that you have information on? And they shared with me quite a bit of information. I've summarized it here. I do have articles written by student representatives. I've got videos from students who are telling you about their experience on that, so I can share all of that with you if you'd like. But it's all pretty anecdotal at that point. This is really the facts of this. If we wanted to consider having a student representative on our Board of Education, we would have to ask the voters of our community to approve this option. of having a student board member. The voters would, let's say they did it in May of '22. They have that option to do that, and then you can't bring it up again for another 2 years. So that's it. Start, and then if they prove it, off we go. If for some reason we felt that this wasn't working and we wanted to remove this position, we'd have to wait those 2 years or a 2-year term. If the voters didn't like it, maybe we did, they could put forward a referendum and say, we want that taken away. I doubt if any of those things happen, but those are the things. Once you're in, you're probably going to have this position for the long term. The law doesn't go, it implies, because it talks in the singular, that it's a student. So it implies that there's only one student who's a member at a time, not more than one. The student is truly ex officio. They don't vote. They don't attend executive sessions. So that's understood. That's what the law requires. The law sets forth some parameters as to how to select those student members. For example, it could be student class president. It could be a student government. It could be chosen by the principal. It could be chosen by the superintendent. There's a variety of different options that are laid forth in the law that give the school district, the school board, lots of discretion. I asked how many other districts are doing this, and I got a list, and there was about 150 school districts on the list that indicate that they have a student representative on the school board. So that's quite a few. And then I attached to this communication I sent to you a sample policy that NISBA put together on this specific issue, and the law, the section of law that permits the ex officio student representative. Be happy to answer any questions you have beyond that.
Well, that is anything you read, I found that to be extreme. In Tim's email, it is a sample policy, for future reference here, right? But it has all the laws listed and where it comes from. And that it is a senior, I mean, it gets very into detail, and then NISBA references what part of the law after, and it's a sample policy. So I think, will answer a lot of questions, and it's extremely helpful. So this is how we do it, right? And this is the law
I
that,
think Frank may have talked to some superintendents.
yes, please.
So with the list that Tim sent, I realized that, and I didn't know this, but there's 3 districts within the capital area and I know the superintendents that have this. So I was like, oh, I'm going to call. And I'll be very honest with you, and I want to state this publicly with you. I was not someone who was like, this made me very nervous, right? I was like, student on and all this information. I got into this very hesitant. And after, because I didn't know enough about it, I started speaking to those. Every single person stated that it was an amazing opportunity for students. Every single district stated that it was something that aided the students. It's nothing but pleasurable. One superintendent who they've done their 17. It's something that you need to do it. It's one of the best things that we've ever done. The students don't vote. They don't have personnel matters. They don't get involved in that. But, within that person's board, they do get an opportunity to have a conversation. In another board, it was more so they sit at the table and they give a report. And the board can pass them, hey, we're going to look at this policy. Would you mind working with the superintendent to work on that? And that's how that student then becomes that kind of connection. So some school districts are doing it differently than other school districts, but each district, so I think it's important to understand, what do we want out of that? What does this district want, if that's something that we go, and how would that be structured? Every one of them said that it was invaluable, and they would highly recommend it to any school board.
Well, I was
So,
thinking
I will
about,
state that.
no, that's great, because I was thinking, prior to COVID, we would, like, so many classes would send, you know, you get to pick a board, you know, the different educational classes, and this is where they learn. But one class in particular, a couple years ago, and this just came to mind, I think it was my son, and they did a tally on name all, with all the students in like 11th through 12th grade are in these classes, name 2 board members or as many board members, and it was such a low percentage. And who is your Board of Education? What is the Board of Education? It was a very creative teacher here that did that, and it kind of like brought light to, wait a minute, you know, these kids, you know, shouldn't know what, you know, if there's an issue, oh, go to the board meeting. But it's never like a you know, like, oh, this is a positive thing. Also, a way of good communication for students. So, but I found that, you know, 'cause I was on board since both kids, elementary school, all the way through graduation, and that was something that it was like, wow, most kids and families don't even, you know, aren't even educated. I think that would be such a positive, this is my personal opinion, such a positive improvement in communication and in a lot of things that we're trying to do to communicate, move forward. So that's
Both ways.
both ways, yes.
I think of it as actually an opportunity for us.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, having a student, a well-versed, well-informed student, sitting in the table, and we're able to ask, so, what do you think? How's this gonna play? What are you hearing? What's been the reaction to the latest thing? I think that would be helpful. I could see where you'd be a little nervous, Frank, I get that. But it may, you know, I mean, we'd have to kind of pick our spots, I think, but at the same time, I think getting that information from the student's perspective could be very valuable.
How does that work inside the school district itself?
They get board training. So I think this is very important because, as you were saying, Tim, asking them questions and stuff, you know, as board members, everyone's trained and has an understanding of what the expectations are. And the student then also goes through the same board training.
No, I think they don't. I think
Oh,
I
because
read it here in the
district, because at the district I
that's-
talked to, they did give them training on expectations of what it looks like.
Yeah, and I think it would be our own training.
Yeah,
It's-
well, that's what they mean, board training
There
is.
is something here that says the superintendent or designee is responsible for arranging.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
so-
going through the same.
Well, not through
training
NISBA,
here.
but you would give them
There's some.
the same idea and understanding of what the expectations are of being a board member and doing that. So that's how it works. First, they're trained, right? They have an understanding of the expectations of what is done, how it works. It goes into how you would want to have the student you would pick. The district I spoke to, it was the president of student government. They picked the student government president,
Who's a senior.
who was
They
a
have to be
senior,
a senior.
and then that was how they sat on the board. And that was how, all the schools that I spoke to, that's exactly how they did it. So
So,
3 out of 3 that's the way they were doing
so
it.
Frank, we don't have a district-wide student government or advisory committee.
And we have student
Because
government.
if we do, then the law specifies how we
Right.
select
We have
the
student
member.
government.
Yeah, we have student government.
But district-wide.
Is it district-wide
No,
or
it's
is
not
it grade by
district-wide.
It's
grade?
grade wide.
Grade
It's
wide.
great, it's like school by
So
school.
maybe it'd be the-
So we don't have district-wide, so I think we can determine.
That would be a-
how we
yeah.
select.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it works that way, but, you know, and again, it's very important. It's not about personnel, it's not about those things, and it's not about putting a student on the spot. It's about having a conversation and understanding of what's happening.
Definitely. And you know, my experience with this community alliance and having students, I mean, people on it were like the principal, but well, community members also, and mental health, and Sapienza ran it, was with these students, and it was all about healthy choices. I mean, you can't make all these policies and stuff without their input, and their input, like to just say, what do you think? Tim, to
I
what
know
you're,
that in a couple boards that I had worked with, they had
Gotta be the
student
right
representatives, and they fashioned it pretty smartly, I think. They would have a place on the agenda that was the report from the student representative, and I believe they were provided, they were asked to address a certain agenda. So it wasn't this wild, I can go anywhere I want with this. This is like, here are 3 issues that I've been asked to address as a student representative. Here's my report. And it seemed like it worked pretty well.
We get reports from people ahead of time anyway, that we review before a meeting anyway, so that would help decrease any kind of surprises because. So,
That is policy agenda for the 6th.
do we want to well, before we have policy, we would have to decide if we want to put it out to the voters. That's what we need
Well,
to decide.
No, what I'm saying is the policy committee could review the policies that there are and report to the board about them
That's a
for
good
further
idea.
discussion. That would happen at the November meeting.
That's a good
But I
idea.
think that still gives us time for the May vote as to whether or not to do it. And then it would start in, I would guess it would start in July of 2022 anyway, or
Right,
whenever,
right.
somewhere in there.
Yes.
So,
How are they really fashioning that on the inside? There has to be.
I don't know enough about it.
Pardon?
I honestly don't know enough about it. That's something that I would have to.
What
really
did you
look
hear with the work that you put in on it? I mean, because
Like
my-
Frank, all I know, I've never asked the question before. I've been around boards of education that have had student representatives, and they seem to be happy with the way it worked, the way that they kind of organized the work for the student. So they had a role that was appropriate, well-defined, and a strong contributor to an informed discussion among the board. So
if we were going to go into that, we've got to have people here that are going to be able to help that become a really good thing.
So the one superintendent I spoke to, this is how they did it, and I kind of like the way that they did it. So the board still directs the superintendent, right? Not the student, of course, right? But the board directs the superintendent.
Okay.
The board works with that student, the superintendent works with that student to make sure that, if they're working on something, they give them the opportunity to be a part of those things, to give them voice, to be able to help guide them. So the superintendent helps guide that student and have those conversations. And then the board, the superintendent, how I give a report weekly, that superintendent actually takes out all things pertinent, anything that is not needed for a student, and gives that information as well to the student. So the student is informed of budget issues, is informed of the different issues that are going on like that when they look at an agenda, they have an understanding of it, and then they can come back. So really, the superintendent works with, if it's a class advisor for student government or someone like that, to really help guide that student and the building principal. But they help structure it. But really, it is, again, the board says, we want to work on this policy. Frank or Jim, if you're the student, we'd like you to look at this action with students. I would then help them, if they need student committees or student groups, because they're not going to have voice within the building, be able to pull groups together all the time. I can help them get those things done.
you could even, and I'm just spitballing here, but you could even take a subject that we, the board, are interested in, and we'd like to know the student's point of view. And it's just one subject. And Frank communicates, all right, student, at this upcoming meeting, could you give us a briefing on X, whatever that subject matter is, from a student's point of view? And it's focused on that particular subject. That could be a way to contribute to an informed discussion.
And the student should give a report from the student perspective. Like, what Tim said about having the report, I think that's the one board that was just having, that's all that one student did. But they reported on what was happening, the events that were going on, what the student body was, and they felt that was extremely important as well. Each one said that the students that typically get chosen to do this have civic minded, they want to be able to be a part of this government, and it's been really beneficial to the kids and very beneficial to the boards.
Well, I like.
But I
that.
haven't done enough research to really dig in.
But I think that, I like that idea, bring it to policy
Yeah.
next, and,
If we feel like, we'll report back at the following November meeting,
Yeah.
because our next meeting is until the 6th.
right,
So we can report back at the November meeting, and if we haven't found enough yet, we can still continue to look into it.
I have three.
yeah,
Life insurance.
So
yeah.
I think we have enough time if we want to get it. I don't know what the timeline is.
I think we got a little bit of time here, that's why I wanted to start it
Yeah.
now, so that we're not rushed and people have
Right,
time.
absolutely, but my only question is, if we need to get something on the May ballot, if we're thinking let's just hypothetically say we want to do it, we want to move it forward, is there anything, there's like enough filing deadline for the May ballot, or we just can,
Yeah, there is gonna
There
be
is.
something, there'll be, I don't know what, X number of days
Yeah, it's
before the vote.
right. So
same as we have as our budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like the beginning of April or something,
Yeah.
so we have
We have lots of
like
time.
3 months or 4 months before we are switched.
And again, I think, if we all agree that, we'd like to move it forward on a ballot, then we will also agree that we'll do a lot of education with the community to why we're doing this and promoting
Absolutely,
it.
we have a community forum.
Yeah,
And I do have a superintendent who would be willing to speak to the board
That'd be great.
regarding it, about their
Oh,
experience.
that would be great.
That'd be helpful.
So I'll reach out and make sure that if that's something you
I
would like.
heard that the vice president of the board is supposed to mentor the student.
But I'll reach out to that person as well and set that up.
Yeah, Cindy, I'll just say I'm completely supportive.
Oh.
Even before I heard
Yeah.
Frank's
Yeah.
report,
Yeah.
discussing with other superintendents, I think it's a great idea. I think
Yeah,
there's
I do too.
there's some things we'll have to work out in terms of what gets communicated to the student and how.
Yeah.
About some
It's
of
a
the
great
discussions that we have, but I'm completely supportive.
Yeah, right, and I think policy, that's the next step. Hey, Rob? Rob,
Yep,
is that good with you?
sure.
So plan on policy being the next step.
Excellent.
All right, well, thank you, that was good, and I'm glad we could fit that right in with the district goal discussion, because I didn't want to hurry through it, I think it's a really neat topic. Okay, so personnel items, we added a couple times sensitive, the rest of personnel items will be on next week's agenda, but for now, we have, let's see, just 1, 2, 3, 4, so 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, so 3.5. Can I have a motion to move these personnel items?
I'll move.
Second,
One second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you.
Is there any COVID money if the nurse is helping with COVID-related items?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And congrats on the new bus driver.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got a nurse and a bus driver. Like, that's huge.
That's amazing.
It's almost a trifecta right there.
Listen, it was a big week. That's all I was gonna say.
Hey, how much action are you getting out of this up there?
What do you
In
mean?
the parking lot?
In the parking lot at Jennifer.
Oh, not this person, but we have another one who was very, very interested that came out of that. The problem is just how long it takes, right?
The trainer.
The training and all those other things. That's why I know they're looking into it, but it's a lot of time to be able to do from, I'm interested to getting to be a bus driver. But that's gotten a lot. So the one person's very interested, and then another person saw it. They have their CDL, and they're doing summer work, like they do like fall and summer work. So they said in the winter they're going to apply for a position.
Are
to
you
do
getting in with younger people or older people with?
It varies.
Pardon?
It varies. It's just on who's interested in doing it. I think we just want whoever, really, just as
Good
many
safe
people as we
driver.
can get. It's just safe drivers who are
And
trained, who are
these
willing
people
to.
that you've talked to, they have had that kind of work? Is that-
Some have, some have not. But I mean, bus drivers can be trained, and that's why they go through a training
Sure.
process, and so it's any way that we can get drivers, to help us out. It's definitely the way to go. So I'll publicize it everywhere.
Okay, so, if anybody in the community would like to make any comments, not conversation, but just any comments, we have 3 minutes, have you to stand for 3 minutes, please come forward. Hey, All right. Otherwise, we will have a full regular meeting on the 4th in here, yes?
Sure.
Okay, in the LGI.
And audit committee.
And audit committee starting at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, and I believe we have a very, very, very brief executive session, correct, for personnel item? And do you want to tour on the way?
Yeah, so then after that, after
Or
the
even on the
executive
way
session.
there, don't we go
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there?
So as on the way, if you'd like to go, I can bring you
Take a detour.
to the tech. And actually, I can open up to anyone who's in this room as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's
you know, if
very
you'd like to go and see the new technology room, it's not done. But it is almost done, and it's gonna be released to us on Friday. So all fingers crossed that it's released. The furniture comes on Friday, so it better be released at that point in time.
So did you guys say there is executive session after this?
It's
Yeah.
a very brief one. We're on our way there to Frank's office.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Do you want to either call me or I can probably be there within 10 minutes? So,
We're
We'll call
ready to, yeah, we'll call you because it will probably be done in 10 minutes. We're
okay.
going-
I have you join virtually. Pre-K, they had an open house last night
Okay.
from 6:15 to 7:15. It was great. Almost all the parents were there, and they're starting on Friday, October 1st.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, it's up and running. So within, again, you know, we were blindsided with the money, but, you know, thank you to Serendipity for stepping to the plate to be able to be our CBO. Some districts are really struggling to find CBOs, and so we're very lucky to have that, and it's a great opportunity for our community. We have 17 individuals right now. We have 2 that are left on the list to call, so we just had someone back out just the other day, so we'll be up to 18 by probably today. No one had told me yet, so we're really excited, and Friday is, you know, the start of a whole new thing for us, so very exciting.
That's great. Thanks for your work on that,
Excellent.
and yes, I'm glad it's moving forward. Okay, so can I have a motion to move into executive session in Mr. McCree's office after and we'll detour on the way past the tech.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Aye? Okay,
Hi.
anyone not joining us? If you feel free, we're just going for a quick tour down the hall, feel free to join us. On the way to Frank's office.
On the way to plan.